Hey, this is End of the Road Haunts, and today I'm making a video about my personal thoughts to the Spirit Halloween 2022 lineup. And it's mixed, I've gotta say. This video ain't covering the themes, but just the props themselves. And my opinion is quite mixed, I'll say, so yeah. But the first one here is Nozzles. And I did really like this one, and I did have him on my list for a while, except for the fact that he's $350, which for us Canadians is $420 nice dollars, which is just too much in my opinion. Now, this guy better cure cancer if that's how he's gonna be, you know. Um, Now, I do think he'll have the same animation as that like twitching banshee we got from Halloween costumes, where he turns side to side and raises his arms. His mouth will probably move. Now, when we first saw the name Nozzles, I did really hope it would have to do something with water, and I would be really disappointed if it was just like some kind of clown name. But luckily, they did actually make his hands nozzles, so I am very happy that they actually didn't waste the potential of that name. So, that's pretty cool in my personal opinion. And I do quite like him. I could definitely see myself getting him. But again, he's just overpriced in my opinion. The next one here is Monty, who we've seen before. I do quite like him as well. He looks to be 6 feet tall. Apparently 2 foot high for the box and 3 foot high for the clown himself. Or sorry, 4 foot high for the monkey himself. Sorry. Bad wording. But, I, again, do think this one is pretty cool. It's very unique. Very creepy, also. Looks like something you'd, find randomly in your attic. I do quite, like him. But, again, he does seem to be very overpriced. So, with a price point of $300. Now, the next one here is Lord Raven, which is a prop that I was very interested in when it first came out. Does look to be fairly cheap. I do like its talons, though. I think that's a really cool touch. And he does look to be fairly cheap. He's pretty expensive for only a 6-footer. But I could definitely see myself getting him, and I am kind of planning for that. Because he does look really cool to me. I love a good bird-looking prop, like a plague doctor or something. We've seen one at Home Depot last year, but that was just a 3-footer. So, I might be getting this guy. Now, apparently his arms go back and his head goes forward. This is either, like, repeating motion or, like, a jump scare. But he's definitely really cool. I'd love to see what he does. Hopefully he just squawks instead of saying dumb phrases. If he does say phrases, I really hope they're not the standard Reaper ones of, like, your soul is mine, surrender it now. Because that would suck. I'd really love some more originality with this guy. Because general look, other than the, face, is very unoriginal. But, that's just my opinion. So the next one here, again in the archway, is the Possessed Pumpkin. Now this one is also really cool looking. It seems to be like a remake of Crouchy, like a reskin. And I do think that he is pretty cool. His size is really good. His head is really detailed. But he does lack for that in his clothing. The price is absurd. Well, not absurd. But it's $30 more than Crouchy, which is quite a big step up. Maybe his mouth will move, but doesn't quite look like that. But, I do find him quite cool, in my personal opinion. I don't think I'd get him because, again, he's just a very unnecessarily big prop in my opinion, because I have some of those, and they're not... I don't know, my opinion's very hairy on them, but I do certainly think he's cool. But yeah, here we have the Bog Zombie, and this is another quite cool looking one. Seems to be almost entirely black and white, which I'm not quite a big fan of. But I do think he looks quite cool. $249.99, fairly expensive. But so I've heard he might have the same animation as the smoldering zombie with arms up and down, turning side to side, and maybe mouth movement. Um, I'd really love to, I feel like he might be a Grim reskin, which I don't think he is, but he just looks like it in my opinion. Looks like the arm could move and his head could have servos. He has the same stance and everything. Or he could also be like a cellar dweller reskin. But either way, I do think he's pretty cool. He might do quite a bit for $249.99. Also, I find this quite cool as well in the image. There's the little foot pad there for what's only for where there isn't even an animatronic. It's just a backdrop of some like skeletons behind bars. But it says something like the experiment. So maybe there's gonna be like lore to the themes in them this year, which is also quite cool in my opinion. Like to see what they do there. Or it's a foot pad for something, but I'm not sure what it would be. Next we have Betty Sharp, which does look... I mean, I like the originality and like horror of it. It is a genuinely freaky prop. And I do like that it's more bloody, but it's... I mean, that head looks really bad in my opinion. It looks like it's gonna have a very Ophelia or Angeline type head sculpt where it just looks so uncanny and inhuman. It's a good concept, don't get me wrong, and it's certainly creepy. Some people are saying it might be a jump scare, which it also might, because I think it might make like a kind of moving the knife motion. That might also be the jump scare. But it just looks quite cheap to me. It's a good concept with a cheap execution. But, I do think it's a good concept. Next, we have the Lil Skelly Bones. And the pose he's in before he jumps up, because I do believe this is a jump scare animatronic similar to Jack Straw, almost looks like he's praying, which is... I actually find fairly neat because it's almost a reference to the "pray for the dead and the dead will pray for you" reference in his phrase. But I'm not the biggest fan of this one. The head does look okay. I love the I love the original. He's staring me down right as I talk, believe it or not. But I'm very mixed on this one, and I'm not a big fan of it just because it feels like a really cheap and lazy, just repurposing of the prop. But if they do something fairly original with it, it's fairly overpriced for $170 though. Next we have Panchi The Clown. And I must say, I did think this guy looked really stupid when we first saw him, but I've got to say, he's quite grown on me to the fact that to me personally, he feels like he could be an option for stuff to get, because I did really want nozzles, but, nozzles is a little pricey. But I believe he's supposed to be like an inflatable, prop of the sorts, where like his legs will inflate. And I do think he's supposed to look like, one of those punching clown things, if you've ever seen them, that are inflatable again. And when you look at him from that perspective, he's really not bad. Because, like, the way his legs inflate look pretty okay. It makes the, like, painted-on grin and eyes just look a lot freakier as well. I'm not sure if they're going to be painted on or actually 3D. I'd like it if they had a slight depth to it. Not, like, a really, really, not really, really deep, where it looks super realistic, but, like, a fair bit. And also here it says that he has to be waved down. Now, maybe it's just because he barely has a base, but as you can see up here, he's more leaning forward, and here he's definitely way more leaning backward, which makes me think he's gonna have like a fast thrashing motion almost. Love it if his arms were to move, but I don't think they will. And honestly, he does look pretty freaky to me, like something you just seen, like an attic of a new house you moved to. I do like the vintage clown look of him as well. So, at first I did think he was stupid, but honestly, I think he looks pretty good now. For 280, it might be an alright price depending on what he does, plus the whole inflatable part. But it is cool to see Spirit like incorporating inflatables to their animatronics again, even though the last time we've seen it was very sucky with the Ghost Girl. I had an idea that I think could have been a little cooler than this. That's like a clown with an inflatable balloon head that like inflates and then pops or something. But you know, that's just my personal thoughts. Next we have the licensed Regan from The Exorcist. I haven't seen The Exorcist, and I also don't really care to see it because I don't really care about possessions, stuff like The Conjuring and stuff. While it is well made, did not scare me, especially more like me having no religion myself. It just especially doesn't work when you get into those elements. I mean, if you are religious, then yourself, all power to you. But, you know, that's just my personal thoughts. It is an okay prop. The kind of projection, even though I've heard it's like a light just next to like a painted piece of glass, it is pretty original. It's not a direct return of the 2011 one, even though we haven't seen Barnyard Butcher and Pumpkin Nester. I don't even know if they'll be in stores. Maybe filler. We might have seen Barnyard Butcher's picture on a box. But I think that's just a super stupid decision in my opinion. Hopefully they're online if, anything. So something I didn't bring up with nozzles, but is still here with Regan. For these back two props, they're using the new throw switching, which I find really cool as well. A really good way to activate the props. I really want to see the back theme. The walkthrough of the back theme. And here we have Lucky Bottoms. And a lot of people have given their hate to this one. And albeit, I do think he is pretty overpriced. But apparently he'll have a Dr. Loom like thrashing back and forth motion. His head and jaw look like they might be separated to get even more movement. And I must say, he looks really nightmarish in this image. His clothes are a little lazy, so, and I do find his name very odd. But he does sound genuinely creepy, like his movement and the fact that he'll just be maniacally laughing. So I do quite like the looks of him so far. Another one that I'm possibly thinking of getting, but, we'll have to see. So here we have the Bag of Bones. He's really cheap, in my opinion. It might be an okay concept for just, a skeleton popping out of a bag, but does clearly just look like a pose and stay, in my opinion. It doesn't look too bad for $150, though. Also, this has the Spirit logo on it, which is very interesting, to say the least. Like, free, sponsorship from them, but whatever. Okay, now out of those images, which I believe were originally posted by Halloween Haunt Man, who's, good boy of the channel, so, go subscribe to him. But here we have young Crouchy, and I've made my opinions on him very vocal. But, after a while, I can still safely say, fuck this guy. I personally hate this to my core. And the main reason why is because, for me, if they were to bring back Crouchy, that would have been way better. Because the original one is fairly cool, it's fairly detailed, and its size is also really good. But for this, they just downscaled and called it a day. And I really don't get that. It just looks really stupid in my opinion. So, I really don't like this guy. If you do, I guess all power to you, but, I just don't. I don't get this. I think it was a waste of space. For this to take up a spot in the theme and not Barnyard Butcher or something is really bad. Also, I'm wondering if this is fake, because it looks like it might just be a downscale of the other one. And it looks to use the liquefy tool down here in a very suggestive place. Maybe the prop just has a built-in boner, I don't know. That would honestly be pretty sick if so. Spirit's getting into that other R-rated direction. But, I just think this is super lazy. Just boil down Crouchy. If they brought back the actual guy, everyone would be happier than this. And you can actually see him in this image too, which is of the Tombstone Terror, which looks to be just a skeleton head popping out of a tombstone. I'm not sure the price of this one. I feel like it might be $149.99. But actually, if you look down there, it seems to possibly even be double digits and not triple, which is actually pretty good if that's the case. Like $89.99, I think would personally be worth it, because it does say that it's not on a step pad or even like a try me button, which I do find to be quite interesting in my opinion. I do think this will be a jump scare prop, so they want to rely off sensor for people to, walk by and it to just jump up. Also, in the back, you can see young Crouchy, fuck that guy, and Barry, so, that's pretty cool. And I do believe this is the last image we have. I'm not going over the themes, but they do look really sick to me. We can also see Shorty in this image, so that's also fairly cool. And he looks like he might even have new shoes, which is weird, but I can't be too sure on that. It might just be a weird little, thing. No, I think that's just the chains they're using. But yeah. Honestly, the lineup has grown on me quite a bit. Aside from a few props that are just really bad. But let me know your thoughts on them in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.